Imagine the scene, a calm, ordinary day, with the sun shining and the traffic flowing as usual. But then, in an unexpected twist, a celebrity gets pulled over. This isn't just any celebrity though. It's Samuel L. Jackson, one of Hollywood's most iconic actors. The mere idea of such an encounter raises curiosity. How does an A-list star handle a routine traffic stop? And how does the officer react when he realizes who he's dealing with? Being pulled over by a police officer is already a nerve-wracking experience for most people. The flashing lights in your rearview mirror, the sudden change in atmosphere, it all creates tension. Now, imagine what it must feel like for someone like Samuel L. Jackson, who's used to being the one in control of any situation. How does the man behind the characters he plays, the tough, charismatic, and sometimes intimidating roles, react when he's on the receiving end of a traffic stop? It's easy to picture the moment, the police car pulling up behind him, lights flashing, and the officer walking toward the vehicle. It's a simple, common occurrence for many, but for Samuel L. Jackson, this ordinary event quickly takes a surprising turn. What's even more intriguing is the officer's reaction when he sees the name on the ID. There's something unique about this encounter, and the officer's response will leave you speechless. This story is not about a celebrity flaunting their fame, but rather the unexpected moments that make even the most routine situations feel special. It's just another day for Samuel L. Jackson cruising down the road in his car. Perhaps he's on his way to a meeting, or just running errands, enjoying a little peace and quiet away from the hectic world of Hollywood. His windows are down, and the sound of his favorite music fills the car as he hums along, lost in thought. Everything seems normal, nothing out of the ordinary. But then something changes. In the distance, the familiar red and blue lights flash behind him. The sudden shift in the mood is palpable. For a moment, Samuel L. Jackson doesn't know what to think. Could it be a mistake? Did he forget to signal when changing lanes, or is there something else going on? He glances in the rearview mirror, a wave of uncertainty washing over him as the police car slowly approaches. He pulls over to the side of the road, his heart rate just a little faster than usual. Even someone as famous as Samuel L. Jackson can feel that familiar tension. The car comes to a stop, and the sound of the engine purring softly into silence. The officer's vehicle halts behind him, and everything feels still for a moment. The street noise fades away, and the focus shifts entirely to what's about to happen. The officer steps out of his car, a figure approaching with purpose, but there's no hostility in the air, just professionalism. He moves toward the driver's side, his hand resting near his belt. Samuel rolls down the window, offering a casual smile, a silent acknowledgement of the situation. It's not the first time he's been pulled over, but it is a rare moment for the actor, who's often in the spotlight for entirely different reasons. As the officer reaches the window, the familiar questions come. License and registration, please. Samuel reaches for his documents, handing them over. He's calm, collected, though his mind races slightly, wondering what's next. It's a simple stop, or at least it should be, but what happens next is anything but ordinary. As the officer walks toward the car, he probably expects another routine traffic stop. He's done this hundreds of times before, but there's something about this moment that feels different. Maybe it's the way the car looks, a sleek, polished vehicle, clearly well maintained. The officer might glance at the plate, not thinking much of it at first. He's just going through the motions, his mind already on the next car he'll pull over, or the paperwork that awaits him back at the station. But then, he gets closer to the car, and something catches his eye. He sees the man sitting in the driver's seat. The officer's steps slow for a fraction of a second. He recognizes the face. It's not just any face, this is Samuel L. Jackson. The same Samuel L. Jackson from movies like Pulp Fiction and The Avengers. The actor who's known for his intense roles and unmistakable voice. The officer blinks, wondering if he's imagining things. No, it's definitely him. For a split second, he stands there unsure of how to process the situation. Does he approach this as just another stop, or does his celebrity status change things? He quickly pulls himself together, reminding himself that he's still a police officer, and Samuel L. Jackson is still a citizen. The badge he wears means he's expected to treat everyone equally, no matter who they are. He takes a breath, mentally adjusting his focus, and walks the final few steps to the car. As he reaches the window, the officer doesn't let his surprise show. He's trained to remain professional, to keep a neutral face no matter the situation. But inside, he's likely a little bit starstruck. It's not every day that you pull over someone famous. Maybe he's trying to play it cool, but there's no denying that his mind is racing. Is Samuel L. Jackson going to make a joke? Is he going to ask if the officer recognizes him? Or will this just be a normal exchange, with no acknowledgement of the actor's fame? The officer says the usual line, "License and registration, please," but in the back of his mind, he's probably wondering how this interaction will play out. The officer's voice breaks through the brief silence, asking for Samuel L. Jackson's license and registration. The actor, already aware of the officer's recognition, remains calm and collected. He doesn't make a big deal out of it, even though he's fully aware of the situation's uniqueness. After all, Samuel L. Jackson is used to attention, but this moment is different. This isn't a red carpet or a press conference, this is a routine traffic stop. He reaches for his wallet and pulls out his driver's license, glancing at the officer with a small polite smile. "Here you go, officer," he says, handing over the ID. The officer takes it, his fingers brushing against the card for a moment too long, as if he's absorbing the weight of the moment. Samuel's name is right there in black and white, staring him in the face, Samuel L. Jackson. The officer's eyes flicker up for a brief second, a moment of realization dawning on him. But he quickly regains his composure, trying not to let the surprise show. "Thanks," the officer replies, his voice steady, though there's a slight hesitation in his tone. He takes a moment to look at the ID, as if processing the information. There's no rush. In fact, the officer seems to study the name a bit longer than necessary, as if making sure it's really the Samuel L. Jackson he thinks it is. Samuel, sensing the officer's hesitation, leans back in his seat, his arms casually crossed. "You know," he says with a smirk, breaking the silence, "I get it all the time." It's not a boastful remark, just a simple acknowledgement that being recognized is part of his daily life. The officer doesn't know whether to laugh or just stay professional, but he manages a small smile in return. The officer looks down at the ID again, scanning the details. He probably knows that he's not supposed to show too much reaction, especially when dealing with a public figure, but it's hard not to. Samuel L. Jackson is one of the most well-known faces in Hollywood, and it's strange for the officer to be face-to-face with him, not in a studio or on the big screen, but in this very real, very ordinary moment. The officer is still processing the name on the ID when he finally looks up at Samuel. There's a split second where their eyes meet, and Samuel offers a knowing glance, as if he's aware of exactly what's going through the officer's mind. "It's me," Samuel says simply, a touch of humor in his voice. The officer chuckles lightly, as if breaking through the tension. It's a brief moment, but it's enough to remind both of them that despite the circumstances, there's a shared human experience happening here. Finally, the officer clears his throat and begins to speak again, trying to refocus on the task at hand. "All right, Mr. Jackson," he says, "I'll just be a minute. Please stay right here." He turns and walks back to his patrol car, his mind likely still processing the unexpected twist in his day. As the officer walks back to his patrol car, there's a moment of quiet. Samuel L. Jackson sits in his car, his fingers drumming lightly on the steering wheel. He's been in countless situations where people react to his fame, but this time he's just another person being pulled over, albeit with a bit of a twist. He leans back in his seat, waiting patiently. He's been pulled over before, but the officer's reaction makes this one stand out. The officer returns to his vehicle, his steps a little slower than before, his thoughts clearly preoccupied. He pulls up the license plate information on his computer, but his mind is somewhere else. After a moment, he glances over at the name on the ID again, probably double-checking just to make sure he's not imagining things. It's almost like he's trying to convince himself that he really did just pull over Samuel L. Jackson. When the officer gets back to the car, he's trying to keep his cool, but there's an obvious shift in his demeanor. His usual by-the-book attitude is still there, but now, there's a bit of awe lingering behind his professional mask. "Mr. Jackson," he says, his voice tinged with a hint of surprise. I just wanted to say, I'm a huge fan of your work. Pulp Fiction, The Avengers, you're one of the best. Samuel smiles, but there's a touch of mischief in his eyes. He's heard this before, and he knows exactly how to handle it. Well, thank you, officer, he says, keeping his tone friendly but still giving off that cool, confident vibe. He's never one to get too caught up in the celebrity spotlight, but in this moment, he's fully aware of how surreal the situation is. The officer, still holding Samuel's ID, looks at him again. There's a pause, as he struggles to maintain his composure. He wants to act like it's just any other stop, but he can't help it. The realization is there, plain as day. He's standing in front of Samuel L. Jackson, a Hollywood legend, and he's trying to act normal. But then the officer does something that catches Samuel off guard. Instead of diving into the routine of issuing a ticket or writing a citation, he just stands there for a second, almost lost in thought. His eyes narrow slightly, as if processing the situation, before a soft chuckle escapes him. You know, I didn't expect my day to go like this. The officer admits with a sheepish grin. Samuel laughs too, a genuine easy laugh that fills the air with a sense of camaraderie. It's an awkward, funny moment, but the officer's reaction is priceless. He's just trying to process it all, his professional demeanor slipping for a moment, as he stands there, trying to reconcile the real world with the Hollywood world. Samuel watches him, amused, enjoying the unexpected turn in their interaction. I'll bet it's not every day you pull over a movie star. Samuel quips, his voice laced with good humor. The officer grins sheepishly, clearly flustered, but trying to keep it together. The tension that was there earlier fades, replaced by a light-heartedness that makes this moment all the more memorable. The officer stands there for a moment, still processing the fact that he just pulled over Samuel L. Jackson. For a second, he almost forgets why he's there. This isn't just a routine traffic stop anymore, it's become something else entirely. The officer shifts on his feet, glancing down at the ticket book in his hand, as if he's forgotten what he was going to write. His eyes dart back to Samuel, who's still sitting there with a calm, almost amused look on his face. Man, this is wild, the officer mutters under his breath, shaking his head. He's trying to stay composed, but Samuel's casual demeanor makes it impossible to not crack a smile. It's clear now that he's not upset about being pulled over. In fact, it's almost like he's enjoying the moment. He's used to being the center of attention, but this is different. It's not about fans asking for autographs or paparazzi flashing cameras, it's just an officer trying to do his job while also being starstruck. Samuel leans back a little in his seat, looking up at the officer with a playful glint in his eyes. You know, officer, he says, it's a good thing I wasn't in one of those big action scenes. I'd probably be causing a little more trouble than just speeding. The officer laughs, letting go of some of the tension that's been building up. Yeah, he replies. I bet you've got a few stunts up your sleeve. Probably could have given me a run for my money. Samuel chuckles. I wouldn't be that reckless, he says with a wink. But it's funny, isn't it? I go from saving the world in a movie to sitting here, waiting for a ticket. Life's funny like that. For a moment both of them share a laugh, the seriousness of the stop melting away. It's clear that the officer is no longer treating this as just another celebrity encounter, but as a human connection. He's laughing now, genuinely enjoying the exchange. The officer glances down at the ID once more, as if to reassure himself that this is still real. I didn't expect my shift to take a turn like this, he says, shaking his head in disbelief. Guess you just never know what's coming next. Samuel nods in agreement. That's life, right? Full of surprises. The mood is light now, and the awkwardness that might have existed earlier is gone. Instead, it's been replaced with an easy shared sense of humor. Both of them seem to understand that this was a weird, unexpected moment, and they're both enjoying the absurdity of it all. It's not every day that an officer has a casual chat with a Hollywood legend, and for Samuel, it's just another reminder that even the most ordinary situations can have surprising and humorous twists. The officer, still smiling from the light-hearted exchange, steps back a few paces, as if taking a mental breath. He's been trying to stay professional through the entire stop, but now it's clear this moment won't be like any other traffic stop he's ever had. The encounter has turned into something rare, an interaction between a police officer and one of the most recognizable stars in Hollywood, but it's been wrapped in humor and mutual respect, not tension. Samuel, sensing that the situation is winding down, straightens up in his seat, ready to get back on the road. "So officer," he says, his tone casual, "you gonna write me up or are we just gonna call it a day?" The officer laughs again, shaking his head. He pauses for a second, still considering the circumstances. "You know what, Mr. Jackson," he says with a grin. "I think I'm just gonna give you a break this time. Consider it a warning, for your speed, not for being a legend." Samuel laughs and nods in appreciation, clearly pleased with the outcome. "I'll take it. Appreciated, officer." The officer hands back Samuel's license and registration, still chuckling to himself as he does. "Take care, Mr. Jackson. Keep doing what you do. It's not every day I get to pull over a movie star." With a nod and a final smile, Samuel rolls up his window and starts the engine. The officer watches as the car pulls away, the whole encounter leaving an unexpected warmth in the air. It's not often that a simple traffic stop turns into a memorable moment of humor and humanity, but for both Samuel L. Jackson and the officer, this day will be one they'll both remember. As the officer gets back into his patrol car and drives away, he can't help but smile to himself. It's a story he'll tell for years to come, about the day he pulled over Samuel L. Jackson,